Thank you. You come to the Arts Advocacy, you get something really, really pretty, not like some plaque. How cool is that? I was told when I stood up here to have Ohio hold up their paddles, which I think is really silly, but anyway, you're supposed to hold up your paddles, they told me to say. Okay. Ohio people should stand up. All right. Tom and Bob, thank you. Nancy, thank you. Special thanks to Barbara Robinson. Barbara is, many of you know that there is no place in the Midwest that has more artistic beauty, if you will, than the Cleveland area in terms of, if you've ever been to University Circle and you see the Botanical Gardens, the Cleveland Art Museum, the Cleveland Orchestra, Case Western, veterans hospitals, as Bob alluded to. There's no place quite like it in the Midwest, and there's no person in my mind that symbolizes how we've moved forward with the Cleveland Art Museum, especially with the Cleveland Orchestra, and equally importantly, what Cleveland art community, and I know I represent the rest of the state, I'll get to that in a second, the Cleveland Art Museum, that the Cleveland arts community has done in our public schools, in our veterans facilities, and that is so important as you advocate on the Hill. This is my real voice. I talk this way. I don't smoke. I just sound this way. My wife, whom Bob mentioned, is a Pulitzer Prize winner. She's also really fast on her feet. And she was, we were in a room about half the size one day, no tables, no chairs. It was kind of a little reception, and a couple senators were there, and they asked me to stand up and say a few words. And my wife was crowded in this very crowded room with somebody she'd never seen before. And as I start talking, this is a true story, this guy says, "I hate his voice." And she said, "Yeah?" And he said, "Yeah, when that guy up there talks, man, it's like fingernails on a blackboard." And my wife said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." And she said, "I like his voice." He said, "You like that guy's voice?" And she said, "Yeah. You know what, I really like it?" And he said, "When?" And she goes like this and leans in. He leans in. She says, "I really like it when he wakes me up in the middle of the night and says, 'I love you, baby.'" Yeah. Anyway. True story. Julie, thank you. Donna Collins, thank you. Lori Robichaud from my wife's home county up in the northeast, snowiest corner of the state. One story I want to leave you with to talk about arts advocacy and what you do. I was in Toledo back a couple of months ago with Brian Kennedy and a group of others who run the Toledo Art Museum. And Ohio is rich because of 100-year-old endowments. In many ways, Ohio, in cities that you wouldn't expect, cities of metropolitan areas of 500,000, have incredible art museums and orchestras. And I'm not just saying that because I'm from Ohio, but you will see that in a state like this because there were wealthy, 100 years ago, wealthy families that presciently endowed all kinds of art facilities, especially museums and orchestras, but other things too. And I talked to him as we went through the museum. We afterwards had a little round table of about 20 people, probably 15 people in the community that were involved in arts advocacy in the schools, at the VA clinic, in neighborhoods, within labor unions, people who related the arts to their lives. And you could just see how art empowered so many of these. There were a third of the people were probably under 30. You could see how art had empowered a number of these young people. They learn better, they think better, they analyze better because they had arts and music classes when they were in school and because they had a teacher who loved art and music. I know there were a bunch of Ohio State students here today. Some of you will be they did lose to the University of Dayton in the first round, which is a little weird, but sorry. But anyway, I shouldn't have said. I take that back. Bad. But I know some of you will be art administrators, maybe run great art museums. Some of you will be teachers. Some of you will do design and manufacturing. Some of you will do art. Whatever your advocacy and your artwork is, it's so important that you all over this hill tell your stories. I mean, politicians listen to statistics and they don't move people. They don't move us. They don't move you. What moves you is the stories about somebody, some inner city kid in Cleveland or some kid in Appalachia whose parents don't know much about art appreciation, who've not spent much time in museums, who never really had much of an opportunity themselves. And you can tell those stories. And I know Barbara knows how to do it, and I know a number of you do, can tell those stories to just change young people's lives, because you know that better than others. My sister-in-law is the is the art history, the chairman of the art history department at Case. And I have had her she has taken me through this incredible Rembrandt exhibit. Cleveland was one of 3 cities in the country, Charlotte, Minneapolis, and Cleveland, that had the largest, about 3 years ago, had the largest Rembrandt collection ever assembled in North America. And it was, going through and listening to her explain Rembrandt, she's a Rembrandt scholar, she's written about Rembrandt, is one thing, and that's so important, but the outreach you do in communities to talk to kids that don't have that education or don't have those opportunities or don't see the world quite the way that they will see it once you've talked to them about looking at the world through the eyes of art and music and culture can make a huge difference in their lives. So thank you for this beautiful piece of art, and thank you all for your advocacy.